You know?
Yeah, man, we good, we live. Yeah, man. What's up, y'all? Welcome. If you here, tap in with us. Let's make sure we live on all our platforms here. I want to make sure we are live on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Let's see. Yep, we live on TikTok right now. I see that. I think we live. Let's go to Facebook. Let's make sure we good there. Got to get some people to join us. And we good. Terry, you sharing it on your? Oh yeah, we live, we live. They got us. Yeah, we on. Tap in with us, y'all. Welcome to a special edition. I don't know if it's a special edition, but it's special because we on. But a special edition of the It's Mental Podcast. I'm the DJ BENZI. I got my boy, the Barbecue Daddy, Terry
B,
Matthews. Who was that was
B.
like, I ain't calling you Barbecue Daddy? Who was that? I ain't
I
calling you
don't
no
know.
daddy. Remember we was on the
B,
cruise?
yeah, you don't have to call me daddy. Yeah, as long as you put the barbecue in front of it, we good.
right.
Or just call me Terry. Hey, I'm here as a dad joke. Just don't call me late for dinner.
That's
Oh
how you know
man,
you're getting old when
I
when
know,
those
right?
things flow freely.
Yeah, because it came to my forefront.
Yeah, too fast, too fast. It came too fast to your forefront.
Did you tag me in this, man? So I can.
I think so.
Let me see it.
Let's see. I don't know how to tag people.
Hmm. Or just share it to me or something. Let me just go.
Yeah, there we go. And
You know, I think we need to talk about is how you
what's
got the
that?
name Benzie.
Oh, that's a quick story. I've said that plenty of times. Hold on.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, boom. All right, I think I shared it as much as I can share it. I think. Did you get tagged in it?
Well, I'm here now, so I
Okay.
just shared it.
What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. Please comment, let us know that you're here so we can see you. And I know who's on because it just tells me numbers. It doesn't tell me who's actually on. JJ, I see you. I'll get some other people to join here real quickly. But we just gonna get started. Got to hop into it because I'm tired. You know how much sleep I got last night? Less than 4 hours. I was sleeping at like one something. Got up at 4:30 this morning when we hit the gym. four
Hey man,
fifteen.
you 40 now, bro. Ain't no 4 hours sleep. I mean it is, but you gonna feel it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm talking about the moment you hit 40,
Oh yeah, I feel it.
ain't no 40 hours sleep.
I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. But yeah, man. So hey, so I want to tell everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm the DJ Benzi, and I got an icebreaker for y'all. I got a question, right? So first of all, happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day. Do we say belated Mother's Day? Happy Mother's Day for all the moms out there. I got a question, right? And hopefully my daughter's mom doesn't get mad at me if she hears this, or one of y'all go run and tell her. At what age do you have to stop telling, let's say you and the parent are not together, your the other parent happy Mother's Day or Father's Day? At what age? Like where does it no longer become a requirement?
Huh?
When does
What?
it no longer become a requirement to tell your baby mama happy Mother's Day or your baby daddy happy Father's Day? At
Oh, is this a question for me to answer too?
Yeah, anybody can answer this question.
Bro, what do you mean? You always gotta say it forever
What you mean? Why?
to tell your baby mama's happy because she's still a mother.
But so I got to go around telling everybody's mama? No, it's she
No,
has
no,
to.
no, not everybody's mama. I think you
Oh,
tell your mama, and
yeah.
then you tell if you got some close aunties, maybe you tell them, and then
Okay.
you tell the mother of your children, and that's it. That's the only requirement.
For the rest of
N-
my life, I got to do that for the rest
Forever.
of my life.
Yep.
No, man, I don't think that's a requirement.
Yeah, man.
As
Yeah.
long as look, my
Is
daughter
she
is grown,
is so she's still your baby mama's still a mama.
but so I have to purposely reach out and say Happy Mother's Day.
What do you mean purposely? It's a text. It takes you 4 seconds.
Right. Okay. So a little background. Okay. I was in Seattle this weekend. You know that,
Yeah, I feel
right?
like you about to get petty.
I'm not mad. I just want to make sure if maybe I could be wrong. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
She said she was offended. And I didn't mean to
Mhm.
offend her. And I actually didn't mean not to say Happy Mother's Day. Right. I was out of town all weekend from Friday to Sunday. I left from Seattle after finishing the gig, getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning, left Seattle, was on the flight at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I had to be at the airport by 7 o'clock in the morning, right? Meaning up by 6 in the morning, right? After doing a gig. Flying back to Seattle, get off the plane, gotta drive from Burbank to LA to go pick up my two boys, come back, pick up my mama, then take her and my wife out to eat, and my phone is dying. I'm sleeping in the car the whole way through. I come home, I take my clothes off, hop right in the bed. I sleep from about 5 o'clock till like 10 o'clock that night. Wake up, use the bathroom, get some water, back to sleep, then wake up to the next morning. So when I talked to her the next day, I said I sent her a text, Happy Mother's Day. She was like, I'm offended. You didn't tell me Happy Mother's Day on Mother's Day, and you sent it through a text message and stuff like that. I'm like, I didn't purposely not tell you Happy Mother's Day. I didn't tell no, I didn't even make a Happy Mother's Day post at
Yeah.
all.
You don't have to do that. Well, okay. So here's the thing. My 2 cents about that. One is, well, real quick. Is there any way we can stop this echo situation?
You hear an echo?
Yeah.
What about now?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
All right. Um, Here's the thing. You have a baby mother, but you're married. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no requirement to make a phone call to wish her even any of that. A quick "Hey, Happy Mother's Day" text message, 100% suffice.
Mm-hmm.
Because ain't no being offended. Hey, you didn't call me, you didn't do none of that stuff. Like, look, hold on. Yeah, we've had a daughter, we've had our time, and we've had this, and yeah, she's gonna be the mother for the rest of her life. And just out of courtesy, you should be happy that I thought about you. For anybody, I'm not talking about just Benzi's baby mama. I'm talking about for a man who is currently now married and he
Mm-hmm.
has a baby mother,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If the baby mama gets a text message at all for the day,
Mm-hmm.
hit the heart, hit the like, and
Yeah.
be good. You know
And
what
be
I
good.
mean? It
And be
ain't no I'm offended. Why?
yeah.
You got a whole wife.
Right. Okay.
So in
But
that
she was
case, are you
offended that I didn't text it or didn't reach out at all.
okay? It sounded like you said that she was offended that you didn't that you did text, that you only text.
No, she was offended that on actual Mother's Day, I never said Happy Mother's Day through text, through no resource at all.
Ah, okay. So gotcha. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I heard it wrong. Here's the thing. I think if I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing devil's advocate,
Mm-hmm.
she's probably just playing with you. Like I'm offended, just maybe messing around. She's probably not really offended. She's
She was
just
offended.
saying,
She was offended.
okay, well, if she's really offended, that's a whole nother situation. Like, all right, ain't no
No,
reason to
I
be
just
that
want to make sure.
offended.
I don't know if, like, for me, if she didn't tell me, and she's not told me Happy Father's Day before,
Hmm.
in the past couple of years, it doesn't bother me as long as my daughter tells me Happy Father's Day. Like when we
Yeah.
were younger, when it was your job to make sure she got me a gift, or when it was my job to make sure my daughter got something for you or spent the time with you. Okay, cool, yeah, those moments, those things, um, I try to make sure. But now that she's grown, my daughter's 20, it's like, here's your job as the kid to tell your parents Happy Father's Day, Happy Mother's Day. Maybe I'm just different, but if
No,
if you
no, I feel you,
uh
100%. And because I always looked at even when for Mother's Day, my mom is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, mom.
mm-hmm,
Like you, not my baby mama or my wife,
mm-hmm,
not my mom, but I'm gonna do something. But
mm-hmm,
I ain't gonna do it like I'm gonna do for moms
yeah,
because you're not my mom. But
right,
now in your situation, you now have a mama and you got a wife.
yeah,
And your baby mama, if she's really offended, then she shouldn't be really offended. In my humble opinion,
uh,
she should be like, oh
but
well.
let me ask you this: I reached out and said should it be a requirement for me to reach out in some way, shape, or form and tell her Happy Mother's Day on Mother's Day?
I don't believe it's a requirement. I just think it's courtesy.
It's courtesy. Okay,
Yeah,
I can get with that. I can get with that.
yeah.
So I'm gonna apologize tomorrow.
You still so when she got offended, what did you say? Did you
I was working and I forgot to reply. I was
and you
busy.
still haven't replied?
No.
Oh. It's
I only thought
damn.
about it today because what we talking about. So
You
I
should
feel
just
like,
you should just say it right now. Somebody gonna tell
well, her sister's on here. Dog, tell her I said I'm sorry. And I
her.
have seen the light that for the rest of my time on this earth, she will get a happy Mother's Day text. Shy,
And
it wasn't that I purposely didn't text her, Shy. It wasn't on purpose. I was so exhausted and tired and just I barely could get my mom and my wife to dinner. Like I was just done, like done from the weekend. It's just too much. So, but yeah, um,
that's still sometimes that don't because they're gonna be like, oh, I had your baby. You didn't think about me not one time. I was sitting in labor with your baby for 99 hours, and you didn't want to give me a happy birthday. I know you was busy, but you didn't have 5 minutes. You didn't have 2 minutes. You didn't have 30 seconds to give me a quick text while you was laying, and you wasn't even driving. You wasn't even driving.
my
You
phone was
wasn't
dead.
driving. You
My
said
phone,
almost dead, nigga. No, you said almost dead. Then you better
but
stop.
it was dead enough to where I had to put it on the charger and I couldn't be on it.
It don't
I
take that
couldn't
much
be.
to send a text message, bro.
Hey, I was tired. My bad.
I'm
My
messing
bad,
with you,
y'all.
man. I'm
My
messing with
bad,
you.
y'all. My
I'm
bad to the
messing with you.
listener. Um, my bad, y'all. I will listen to the wisdom of others here. Anyway, so happy Mother's Day, everybody that I forgot out there. I don't want to get in no more trouble. But anyway, so this is I guess I'll call it our Mother's Day episode, kinda. And kind of last week, Terry alluded to his relationship with his mother, and I just want to appreciate him first off for being on here and being willing to talk to us about this today, um, and just being open about it because it's been a little while, but it's interesting. So just to give you a little background for those who are listening, Terry lost his mother a few years back, and it's interesting that we're talking about this because my little bro that I mentor, a young man, he's 25 in school, getting his doctorate. He lost his father's 2 years ago, and in 2023, and he said, "Man, everything was so much better in his life in 2023 when his dad was still living. He's still feeling that grief now. He has his good days, he has his bad days. So it's something that us as men do need to talk about. And I think I do want to have him on at a 25-year-old perspective, and also Terry, you at your 40-year-old perspective on dealing with the loss of a very important figure in your life. So so take us back, Terry. Take us back to when you first found out about your mom's passing. What went through your mind?
Well, I was there. So, and then I'm first of all at a place right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say even in the past year that I'm able to speak freely about it, and without choking up and not even being able to get through it,
Mm,
because she passed in 2016,
mm.
and she had been, she was sick here and there, kind of like, you ever heard when Biggie Smalls talking about Tupac, like I knew he was shot, but I figured he'd just get up again like he always did.
Right,
You know what I mean? That's
right.
how I kind of looked at moms, that she
Mm,
was sick, and she had got sick, but she gonna be all right because she gonna pull through.
mm,
So this was 2000, early 2016. She had kind of got, you know, sicker than most, sicker than other times, but I still didn't pay attention to it. She
mm,
was going back and forth to the doctors. Her blood pressure was super high, and she started taking these pills that was to help her lose weight. But
mm, mhm,
unfortunately, pills that help you lose weight raise your blood pressure.
mm.
And so she needed to get the surgery on her legs to unclog her legs, some arteries or something in her legs. But to be able to do,
What happened? Uh-oh. You back? You good? I see you.
hello,
Yeah, yeah, I see you. I hear you.
hello,
Yeah, I hear you.
can you see me?
Yes.
Dang, I'm frozen on my end.
Uh, and you delayed.
I can't hear you.
Uh,
Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
all right, we're gonna get Terry back on here, y'all. But in the meantime, man, um, while we waiting on Terry to get back, um, waiting on Terry to get back. Um, I haven't lost a loved one, especially my mom, man. But I couldn't imagine losing my mom, and I really wanted to talk to Terry about this because I think us in our 40s right now, well, me and Terry, where we had a lot of us that are my friends, my peers, we're all in our 40s, and we're at that age where people, start to deal with this type of stuff, the loss of a
Can
parent
you hear me?
or something like that. Yep, I hear you, I see you, and you
All right.
went frozen.
Sorry about that.
So go ahead. Floor is back to you, Terry.
Okay. So 2016, she had got real sick, and she was a kind of it was a double-edged sword for a couple things because she needed to lose weight to be able to get this surgery, but she
Mm,
couldn't walk or move enough to be able to try to lose weight because her legs was messed up. So she couldn't. It was hard for her to be able to try to exercise at all.
mm-hmm,
So she started taking these pills against the doctor's will, and her diet wasn't the greatest. And so one thing led to another. It just started compounding to where her blood pressure raised to a state to where it just got too much, and she had a stroke. And
mm,
she actually had a stroke while I was on vacation with family. We were in Lake Havasu, and she had a stroke and she went to the hospital. She stayed in the hospital, and it was like, hey, we heard your mother got real sick. We heard she passed away, and I'm on vacation in Lake Havasu, and I'm
Wait,
like,
wait, wait. Who called you and said that?
I got a cousin, hey cousin, who calls and she tells she's the one who lets folks know when your family member dies.
Oh,
And because she seems to be, I don't know how she's always seems to be the one, but I always call if I ever hear anybody who passed. I always call this particular cousin and let to see if she knows.
so
But
she's TMZ of the family.
she just knows stuff.
She knows stuff.
She
Okay.
does. She finds out. And so she hadn't passed. And
Okay.
so, but I was hit like, what? So I called my auntie, we go back to town. We get there, but now I go to see her. She's had this crazy stroke, and
Mm,
then she's on a breathing machine, and then, she's out of it. They eventually give her um, a trach, and
mhm,
to where it's breathing for her, and to now she's not, she's still not able to talk because she has a trach and is doing all the breathing for her. And she was declining pretty fast. And
mm,
so I figured, okay, well, doctors, do whatever you got to do because we got to work it out.
yeah.
And mom's got to come home because she's got stuff to do.
Right.
And then it just kind of went down from there. And my youngest son, who's 13, was born with some problems, and he was on the trach all the way up until 5. And
Right.
so I figured, well, he got off the trach, she'll get off
She
the
can get
trach.
off. Right.
But the doctors were like, um, it doesn't work like that. He was a growing little baby with
Mm-hmm.
all the potential to try to get healthy, and all the things to get healthy. Mom is not in that case.
Mm-hmm.
So I believed and be completely transparent. I went, I prayed in tongues over her. I laid over across her bed. I cried and hollering and speaking to God like, save my mother, save my mother. And then and then it didn't happen.
Mm,
And and so and and her sister came down right away.
mm,
She flew in, and we were sitting at her bed, and like at this point they had put her in hospice, and so we were sitting at her bed in hospice on August 29th,
mm-hmm.
uh, 2016, and it was 3:53.
Mm,
Yeah. And we sat there, and she had started declining pretty bad. And
yeah.
at this point, the machines were keeping her going, and they could, the doctor was saying, well, the only thing that's keeping her alive is this machine. Plus, we got to give her this shot to boost her heart, and but all that's going to do is boost it up enough until it runs out again, and then she's not there. I looked at her eyes, and it was glazed over, and I'm like, she's gone.
Yeah.
And so I my oldest brother was there, and my middle brother was there, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of the spokesman for the fam at this point, and it was like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, we gotta
Yeah. It was tough. It
we
was
have to
tough.
do it, so and so I laid over top of her,
Mm-hmm.
and watched her take her last breath.
Mm.
And so, um,
Was your dad in the room at the time?
no,
Your dad wasn't in
no, 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 he was in Bakersfield.
the room.
And so, you know, my aunt was screaming and my brothers was, sitting there, and I just looked at her and I'm like, well, um, this is a body, and
Mm.
if we believe in the heaven, if we believe in Christ, if we believe in another kingdom, then we know that, hey, this is our temporary vessel,
Yeah.
and to sit here and be there over top of this temporary vessel, it is not necessary. Maybe 2 minutes after she left, and uh, maybe a minute, I left,
Mm.
and I just drove. I went
Yeah.
somewhere and parked downtown into a space. I parked the car and just
Let
cried
it.
for about an hour.
Yeah.
And so it was tough. You know what the craziest part about that is
What's that?
that, and I still can't explain it, and I still don't know, is that, and I found out why it happens, is that I could not remember
Hmm.
anything about my mother from her day that she passed
Hmm.
until eighth grade. I couldn't tell you what we did the Christmas before. I couldn't tell you what we did Thanksgiving. I couldn't tell you what we did 3 weeks before
Wait,
that.
wait, wait, wait. You don't remember anything about your mother from when to when?
From the day that she passed
Uh-huh.
until I was in the eighth grade.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I knew she was around, and I
Yeah.
knew I could tell you what she looked like, but I
Uh-huh.
couldn't remember. Like, my brain had
Oh,
associated so much trauma with the passing of my mother
you
that
blacked out everything from
it,
childhood to adulthood with
it,
your mom.
it blacked out all of my adulthood,
All your adulthood.
everything. Because, bro, I couldn't remember what house she lived in. I knew what house I lived in, but I couldn't tell
Yeah.
you a detail. I couldn't tell you one detail about nothing for like 3 years. And I knew stuff had happened, bro. I was talking to Tiffany, and they're like, "Remember when you guys lived in that house off of Cambria?" And I'm like, "No, what house?" She's like,
Dang.
"Well, because I never lived there. I'd moved to Phoenix by that time." She was like, "Remember
Uh-huh.
your mother?" No, I'm sorry. We had moved into a different house in Bakersfield.
Hmm.
But because anything that wasn't associated with me living in there, bro, it was gone.
It was gone from your memory.
And then eventually I was able to kind of start remembering stuff from like high school a little
Mhm.
bit, but only things that I was involved in because I can remember me doing it. But as far as what we do on this day, what did she say? I don't, bro, I
Yeah.
don't. It was
You
gone.
couldn't remember it.
I'm still choppy. I need to, and I would like to find a therapist in some
Uh-huh.
kind of way, or a hypnotist or something, to tap into my brain cells to remember those things because it's coming back, but
Yeah.
it's not clear like it was.
Isn't that I don't want to say crazy. Isn't that crazy what the mind can do when it's faced with that type of trauma? Like it can just snap and all that is gone because
It,
of
it's
a split
equivalent
second.
to it's equivalent to a young person
Mhm.
who got molested from
Mhm.
7 to 10 years old, but they can't tell you nothing about it because they blacked it out.
They blacked it out.
They're like, you don't even know, yeah, I don't even know I got molested until, and then a lot of times people start remembering once they get completely healed, they're over
Mhm.
it, and now they're 30, and then they
Yeah.
start thinking, and like, something might trigger something, and I remember, and then all these memories will start flowing back. I remember when you did this to me, but
Yeah.
I believe it takes somebody to be completely healed before that'll come back.
I
But that
agree.
happens, that happens all the time.
So tell me a little bit about just a little bit about your relationship with moms growing up. So tell me about your closeness with her.
Oh, we were tight, bro. I mean, like my father was there, but he was outside the house,
Mhm.
and I saw him every other weekend.
Mhm.
But me and mom, man, she was my best friend, my rider, my everything.
Yeah.
She was as close as we can get. She worked. It was just Collie and T-Bear, Collie
Mhm.
and T-Bear. My mother name was Carlene. I'm Terry, obviously, but Collie and T-Bear everywhere because my dad left. They split up when I was like 5, and I always lived with my mother in between time. And you know, um, it was just us. And so we obviously had our spats as I became a teenager,
Mhm.
but it never got into anything where it was turmoil. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And after I got big enough to where she couldn't like
to whoop
spank
you
me
no more.
anymore. You know
Right.
what I mean? She would just kick me out of the house, and I would go live with my cousin, and then I would eventually come back.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
man, we was as close as you can be close
Mm,
um, from that age, and I mean, she was possessive over me, even having girlfriends,
mm,
because
mm.
like how dads are super protective of their daughters.
Yeah,
She
she was
was
like
like
that.
that with anybody, yeah, with any of my female friends. But yeah, there. I mean, if 10 was as close as you can get, that's how we were.
So has your mental health shifted since she passed?
Yeah.
Um, like talk to me about your mental health, maybe the first couple of years, 3, 4 years she passed, and then talk to me about it now.
Well, I was pretty angry at God
Mm,
for a long time,
hmm
a very long time,
hmm
and I got to a point to where I stopped being angry, to where I was just like whatever,
mm,
because I'm like I prayed in tongues,
hmm
I believed, I didn't have a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't going to go anywhere,
Yeah.
and you said you would move mountains for me
Yeah.
if I believed. You said it'd take a mustard seed of faith, and I had a mountain of it, and it
Mm,
didn't happen. And so it turned me off,
mm, mm,
and so I just kind of became a participant at church. I became a participant around the house when it came to anything in my spiritual walk,
mm,
and because it was like I'm like, hey, it's space. There's space, and there's planets, and there's the Big Bang, and what is it? What Adam and Eve, is that even really a thing? I started
mm,
questioning all the different stories in the Bible. I started
wow.
questioning all different types of stuff to where it was like, that doesn't even make sense anyway. And then from there, in addition, like I felt like I had reached the bottom, and I reached the most pain that I could ever feel. And at
Mm,
that point, it didn't kill me. So what the fuck are you going to do to me?
mm,
What? What do I have to be scared of?
yeah.
No, a no?
Mm,
Fuck your no. What are
yeah.
you? What? Was you gonna leave? Bye.
Yeah.
It became super easy for me to cut people off. It
Yeah.
became easy for me to not try,
Hmm.
and then and then I was ready to just walk away from whoever and whatever, because I'm like, I'm not going to experience that pain again, and to prevent that, bye. And unfortunately, how that worked out for me, not so much in my favor, because I probably lost some good people that I probably should still have in my life,
Mm,
or they're not as close as they should be. My circle is tight,
yeah.
very small.
Yeah. Man. Okay. So what about now? Now, how are you? What would you say about you in reference to? I know there's other stuff that can,
Yeah,
cause you to
so
say,
um, not a whole lot different. I'm a bit. I went to what's called a man camp at my church held at the Faith Christian Center,
mm,
and so I was there at man camp about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and the entire room, this auditorium where we were in, was filled with men, and they were all 95% of them was praising God, right? And I'm
mhm,
sitting there, and I'm like, God, you took my mother,
yeah,
and you didn't have to. Now
mm,
now I'm talking, like just talking, and what I'm thankful for. I mean, I'm good. I'm thankful. I'm glad I'm here. And then, man, I swear, I felt a arm on my shoulder. I mean,
mhm.
a
Like a
hand on my
touch.
shoulder, a touch on
Uh-huh.
my shoulder, and I put my head down, and I heard my mother's voice in my head just saying, "T-Bear, I'm okay.
Mm,
T-Bear, I'm okay, and you need to relax."
mm,
And then it went on, and then
yeah.
then I then I heard her say that it's not God's fault.
Mm,
And so I'm like, well, um, all right, well, and then I broke down and I cried from there. And that literally in that moment at that man camp,
mhm,
2022, I believe,
mhm.
somewhere right around there, is then when I forgave God. Isn't that crazy? Who
Wow.
am I to forgive God?
Mm.
But in that moment is when I forgave God, and I know it sounds dumb, sounds
Nah,
whatever.
I mean, that's real because you had
Yeah,
unforgiveness in your heart towards him,
yeah.
and
And
you
so
blamed him
yeah, I just I didn't blame him for doing it, but I did blame him for not saving her.
for not
And
saving.
so, you know what I mean? And so it was like, and then unfortunately, my pastor's wife's mother was sick
Mm,
right around the same time,
mm,
and she had made a proclamation in the church, and I'm like, they passed 1 week from each other, and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? You done took the
yeah,
pastor's mama?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well that unfortunately, and you know what's crazy? What I Pastor Erica, her and I had some brief conversations, and then she helped me. You know what I mean? It was always weird for me to talk to another man's wife about anything, but I'm
right.
like, I need you right now, Pastor
Mm.
E, because um,
She was going through what you was going through.
yeah, and
Yeah,
we're close to the same age, and
mm,
your mother was also sick, and she passed a week after mine.
yeah,
Like, what? How are you going through this? Because I
hmm,
know y'all was tight, just like we was tight.
yeah,
And you the pastor's wife, so you a little closer to heaven than I am. So help me, because
yeah,
talking to other people who don't know, they
hmm,
don't know. You just
right,
don't know until it happens.
yeah,
And I'm like, I don't want to hear from, just like you talked the other day about you wouldn't talk to Chris about something going on with your wife. You wouldn't
hmm.
talk to so and so about with your kids. I don't want to talk to nobody. If you haven't lost your mother, you ain't got, not that you ain't got nothing to tell me, but you don't know.
You don't know that feeling.
And so she knew in
Mm.
real time. And Pastor E, if you ever see this, you helped me tremendously. And I appreciate it so much more than anybody ever did. Pastor Sean, if you ever see this, uh, Pastor E, she said some really encouraging words, and then that gave me to a point. So that's a long answer
So
to
let me just
say,
let me just say this to what you were saying. One thing that I struggle with, right, is when somebody I know they lose a family member, right? Someone that's real. They lose a mom, they lose a parent, they lose a husband, a wife, they lose a sibling, right? Somebody they were really, really close with. I struggling reaching out to them because
right?
I feel like I can't say nothing that's gonna help you right now. I haven't
Absolutely,
been through that.
right,
And sorry for your loss. That's so generic. I don't want to. If that happened to me, please don't tell me sorry for your loss. Please, I
right.
don't want no one to tell me sorry for your loss or be strong. I don't want to hear that. Right.
No,
So I
no.
struggle with saying, you know, my condolences or I just I know that's the proper thing to say,
Hmm.
but it's just like you
Some
can't.
people,
I don't think it helps. I
I
don't
don't
think it
think it does
helps.
either. Nothing helps, bruh. Nothing. I didn't want to talk to nobody
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to hear the bull.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear, and because there's nothing that you can do. I know someone who's lost their children, who, back to back, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
and not my family member, and I avoided them like the plague because, and they were in close proximity to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I apologized for it, but it was like I knew what I went through when I lost mom, and I didn't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't want nothing because I struggle with even just being in silence and talking about it. But it's almost 10 years later, and I'm struggling through this right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. And so, what it's done for me, I haven't cried at a funeral since mom's passed
Really.
because, in my mind, people got to go.
Mm.
And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I got a really close cut. I've had a lot of people pass over the past 9 years,
Mm.
and not one time have I cried since mom's passed
Mm.
because I'm like, hey,
Worse than that.
it's like, well, it's not. It's like my mom died. Who are
Mhm.
you not to die?
Yeah. You got a
You
point
know,
there. Who are
you
you? Yeah.
we got to die. Fuck.
We all gotta die.
You
Shy,
know
I
it.
like what you said here. She said we have to begin embracing death in our community. Many cultures wear white instead of black and celebrate their loved ones' transition. It would elevate some of that pain. What do you think about that, Terry? You think you could now I'm sure not in that moment you couldn't have saw it in that way. Do you think overall experiencing what you
You know what?
experienced?
She might be onto something because check this out. Actually, in the funeral, at the
Mhm.
funeral. Um, we were actually doing okay. We came to the funeral. Folks came up. They had their stories. I even got up and talked about a story.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until the very end, until they opened their casket, and then we got sad, and the mood shifted,
Hmm.
and it was a tragedy at that point. I cried as loud as I ever have in my life. And so, if there was a if at the, in that funeral we changed the whole narrative of a celebration of life, of what it should be, then she's got a point. You know,
Hmm.
it would probably make it to where you say, "Well, hey, job well done." You
Yeah.
know, especially when you got a person who's lived to be, 60 something plus. Even though
Yeah.
I know that's not like old, you
Right.
know, but it
But
is
they
a
didn't
different
die
way
in
to
their
look at it.
20s. You know, they didn't. It
Right,
wasn't.
right,
Yeah. They lived a life.
right.
Yeah. I even think about the way they did Black Panther in that movie, man, when they celebrated in the streets and they wore their white and they danced and they played all that music. They was turned up for that funeral. They
Yeah,
had a
for
good
real.
old time, man,
Yep,
at that
yep.
funeral. So man, you might be on to something, Sean. You definitely might be on to something. What do your quiet moments look like these days? Have you ever had any insomnia or anxiety
Oh,
creep
yeah,
in because of this?
absolutely. For years, even every year in August, still, I
Still.
uh, I was and I kind of go through it, and I don't even try to, but I had to take sleeping medication to sleep,
Mm,
and I just kind of got it, not addicted to it, but I got used to it,
mhm,
and because I couldn't sleep,
mm,
and it was just, and it wasn't even so much that I'm thinking about moms the entire time, but it was that's if you ask about insomnia, yeah, it took me a while to do that, to be able to sleep regularly and comfortably, and also as we get closer to her passing date, which is literally a week away from her birthday. She passed on
mm.
August 29th, and her birthday is September 4th. I think that's like 6 days or something.
Oh, that's why the trip during that time. I didn't know they was both right there. Oh man. Okay. 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 Well, this is good. This is
Yeah.
good. We
But you know
friends.
what?
This is
I
good.
do everything. I used to take the time. I used to take that time and just sulk,
Hmm.
right? And then I
Hmm.
told my brother, I said, man, we need to do something, man. Mom's, she was a lively person. She's the reason
Hmm.
why I'm so, hunky jerky.
Yeah.
Um, let's do something. So we started going to Vegas and we started doing stuff every
Mhm.
year on August 29th. So this year we didn't have nothing planned. And when you already said that date, I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
And
Hey.
that's why I was like, let's do it for Carlene.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Man. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. So okay. So have you found any healthy ways to process grief? Like, so was it the passing of time? You think that because I don't think you're fully healed
No,
per se.
so Pastor Erica talked to me about. She sent me this book or this scroll or scripture or something. It wasn't a scripture, but it talked
Mm,
about how grief hits you in waves, right?
mm,
And in the
mhm,
beginning, it hits you like a tsunami. It's just coming, boom, boom,
mhm,
boom, and then they're big. You know what I mean? Boom, 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 boom. But eventually, as time passes, which I believe is the only thing that helps grief, because there's nothing else. There's not a thing that you can do to help you pass it.
mhm,
Let me back up. I do believe the thing that helped me was taking time to cry.
mhm,
And so as those waves are hitting me, other than just kind of like bottling it in, because I would get so frustrated with everything and everything then would bug me and I wouldn't get along with my wife, I wouldn't get along with my kids, and it was just messed up. I had to cry. I had to go somewhere and sit down and then literally just I would go into my car and cry. I would be at an event, being barbecue daddy, and have to stop because I would just feel it overwhelmed. And I'd go
mm.
sit in my car and I'd sit in the back seat, roll the windows up, and I would cry for 5 minutes.
Wow.
But then I'd be fine afterwards.
Mm.
I would be fine, but I would be much better. I'd get out and like, you are, yeah, yeah, I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
I
get
mean,
back to work.
I think it's important to mourn, right?
Yeah.
You got to mourn the death of a loved one. And I think to me when I hear be strong, I would be strong to me should mean be strong enough to cry. Be
Hmm.
strong enough to express your emotions. Be strong enough to say I am hurting. I am, I don't like this feeling. You know what I'm saying?
We got to do something though to be practical with mourning because
Hmm.
you can say mourn, but then what does that look like? You know what I
Mm,
mean? It's kind of like we talked about pray for me, and but then what does that look like? What do I do next? When you
mm,
mourn, but you still got to go to work and you still
yeah.
got kids and you still got life to live, you can't sit and just mourn
Right.
because you got stuff to take care of. But what
Right.
you can do is take the time to when you need it, when you
Hmm.
feel yourself not becoming what you are, when you feel
Hmm.
yourself being someone else, when you feel yourself being moody, irritated, mad, and you can recognize that, I believe that's part of mourning. Then you have to go and then take some time to cry, to do something to get it out because it's just a ball of emotion that just needs to come out in some kind of way.
Mm,
And so, what was one of the toughest things for me was to go to the gym around that time because it was the quietest place. I couldn't,
mm,
you know, no matter how loud I played my music, I was by myself.
yeah.
And so, um, you know, we got to take time to mourn, but like, what does that mean when you got to go to work?
Mm,
You know what I mean? Do I just sit and cry for a minute? No.
yeah.
I think the practical way to get over mourning is to do your absolute best to continue to function
Hmm.
and then accept it because one of the I don't know all the steps, but one of the steps to mourning is you have to disbelief, and then you finally get to a place to where you believe it. Like,
It's
okay,
real.
it's real. Like I can't pick up the phone, call.
Right.
That's the worst part of it.
Mm. Now,
Six
didn't you
months
say
after,
you used to call and leave her messages still for a while?
yes, 6 months after miles passed was the worst time for me. Before even
Hmm.
the first 6 months, because at this point, because my mind is still used to being able to call and pick up and say things, and I have to remind myself. But then once I finally realized, I said, I can't, and I'll never be able to do that again.
Mm,
That was the lowest point.
mm,
I would on her birthday leave messages on her Facebook. I
yeah.
would leave a message when the kids graduated from high school or somebody did something crazy. I would leave her Facebook Messenger is full of messages from me,
Mm.
just talking about what life looked like. And then,
Now, do you think that's a healthy thing that you could possibly scroll through her Facebook and see? I don't. I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
I
Like,
don't know if it was healthy. It was healthier for me to be able to get it out because she was my person that I went to go say these things to do those
mm,
things with, to
mhm,
be able. She was my outlet. So,
mhm,
I guess it depends on your relationship with the person who's passed.
yeah.
So, it
It's always weird to me. Like, when not usually is a friend or something that passed, and they Facebook is still active, and every now and then it come across or somebody will comment and it pop up. Be like, it kind of, I don't know, it gives me chills. It gives me
yeah,
chills.
there's a stat on Facebook talking about the thousands of Facebook pages that are down from people who passed, and they allowed to stay up.
They're allowed to stay up.
Hmm.
Yeah, because sometimes your family needs that.
Yeah.
Family needs that. Family needs that. Um, this is interesting. Has anything helped you feel close to her again? A memory, something you do all the time. Has anything
So,
helped you
so
feel
I
close?
I have dreams every so often, maybe once or twice a month. Um, and within those
Or you said
dreams,
once or twice a month?
mhm,
Oh wow. Okay.
within those dreams, she's there, and
Mm,
and unfortunately, she doesn't never talk in the dreams, and she's always just far away to where I can't reach her. But then sometimes, see, I have oftentimes it's called lucid dreams, to where I can control what's going on in my dream,
right.
right? And so sometimes when I recognize that, now as I'm getting a little bit further, I recognize I said, no, mom is gone. This must be a dream. And then I just live it up. In my dream, we do. Now because I can recognize it, we have moments and we just kind of live like in a fantasy world while I'm dreaming. And
That's it's dope that you can process the dream within the dream that it
yep,
is a dream and
yep,
then live it out your way. It's
yep.
almost like spending time with her for a quick moment
It,
at
it
night.
really, it seriously is. It really is. And now,
Wow.
there was times when I felt myself start to wake up, and I would get upset, and I would start to cry because like I don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I know this sounds like a superpower, but it's real as real can be. I
Right.
felt myself waking up, and I'm like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. And there's been times where I had to hold mom just before I woke up, and I wake up and I'm crying. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
real tears. And then I just have to. I'm a little bit down in the morning, but then we work it out. Then other times I'm like, well, I can't wait to go back to sleep so I can see if I can have a dream about mom again. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Oh, let me get
that's
to sleep.
also like another process because in the beginning when I had dreams, she was so far away, always like 30 or 40 yards away,
Mhm.
and which we couldn't talk or we would be fussing about something.
Right.
Yeah, so that's different. That helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I think we all go through our weird stuff, but
That
that was
to me that's dope. It talks it to me it shows how the human mind works, right?
yeah.
Because you're going through all this, it's all stuff that's going on in your brain to allow you to do
Mhm.
that, right? They say you never dream of something that you've never seen before, right? Either
Right.
you've purposely seen it or subconsciously seen it throughout your life. And then I feel like also God plays a part of allowing you to still have that connection with her because he knew how much you were hurt. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
Yeah.
think that's a beautiful thing. So what would you say to a person who hasn't lost a parent that you wish you would understood about what you might go through when you do lose a parent?
All right. Hold on. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. Say it again one more time.
For someone who hasn't lost a parent, right? What is something you wish you would have like what would you have known wish you would have known beforehand before losing your mom that would have helped you once you lost your mom?
So one thing that would have helped me because I took it hard and I still take it pretty hard is I think the the real conversation of life insurance of what life looks like after I pass is can be healthy because in my mind it was impossible for that to happen, and that's why it shook me so hard. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When you kind of just like if you have a kid and you warn them about what's about to happen, like hey, your first day of school, this is what's going to happen, and da 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 da. You prepare them for that to happen. So if my advice to a parent or a kid with their parent, like have a real discussion of what life looks like without them there, because I just
Mm.
believe that that would help them process, because it becomes a more of a reality. It becomes like, hey, this is a part of life. Man, I don't want to talk about that. No, we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
How are you going to move on? Are you going to be, depending on how old they are you going to be there for your kids? I need you to make sure you stay good at work. I need you to be happy for me. I need you to know that I lived a good life. And I'm talking about have this conversation over dinner while she's nice and healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have a conversation with your pops while he's nice and healthy. Like, mom, hey, this is a tough conversation, but what do you want at your funeral? What do you want to eat at your funeral? And then,
Mm.
boom, boom, boom. I had a cousin who passed.
Mhm.
She had stage 4 cancer for a very long time. And she called me about 2 months out. And she was like, T Bear, this is what I want you to cook at my funeral. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I want you to cater my funeral. And then
Mhm.
this is what I want the food to be in. And so I was like, okay. We talked through the entire menu
Yeah.
and we planned it all out. And this was in Bakersfield, and I brought all my stuff, everything I can cook with, and we came and cooked out of 2 or 3 different houses and hooked it up just like I would have if it was. No, actually, we cooked out of some houses, but the church that she went to dedicated a lot of their resources and a
Mhm.
lot of their workers and volunteers. We turned up. And so it made it a lot easier for me. But I think that there's a conversation that can be had.
I think you're right. That's a conversation I probably need to have with my mom. It scares me, right? Even my daughter, my mom has said, when I die, I want you to, do this or I want you to do that. She's like, I'll give him some water and I want you to preach my funeral and get everybody out. I don't want no reception. Get them out
Hmm.
of there. Whatever, make it quick. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hate to hear my mom talk like that, right? But
No.
I think it's like you said, it is a conversation that needs to be had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you had a good question. He said, "Did you ever go through a time of blaming your mom like you blamed God?"
No, I blame myself. I blame myself a lot,
Mm,
just because I felt like, she listened to me, and I feel like I could have done a lot more for her health. Um, I blamed, uh, I blamed, I blamed some other people that were in her life,
mm,
um, because she continued to work a lot and didn't take,
mm,
because she needed to support some folks.
mhm,
And so I'm like, you need to, let's stop, with chill, relax. You don't have to work so hard. You don't have to continue to get all these people. She was supporting a lot of folks. And so, um, I just blame God for not saving her, not necessarily for not taking her.
mhm,
So and then I'm like, what could I have done different? And I think about that often still. What if we could, I just made her eat better. If I just made her do this, then,
mhm.
wish she had got a few more years.
Yeah, I understand that. I think about that too. Like, dang, you know what's interesting? I think we try to be so healthy now. It's like I wonder if how much longer would our parents could live, or how better quality of life if the health craze, right, was a thing back when they was in their 20s and 30s like that.
Bro. Yeah, I mean, 'cause my mom's was a saltaholic. That's her blood.
Mm.
She used to get hamburgers from like Wendy's and open a salt packet and put salt on the burger patty
My
before
mom
she
was the
eat it.
same way.
I'm like, man, you gonna lose a foot,
put
you
salt,
know?
put salt
But
on
I didn't even
everything.
know. I didn't even
Yeah,
know that that was that bad at the time until,
yeah.
her blood pressure just was always high.
Mm,
You know what's crazy? My mom she used to tell me, she tried to prepare me. I just didn't want to hear
mm. Oh, your mom tried to prepare you.
it.
Whew.
I just didn't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear that. I understand. When my
Uh-uh.
mom mentioned anything about dying, death, and she gave me this. My mom, she had fell a few years back during COVID, and I thought I was gonna lose my mom during COVID because she had fell, hit her head. She had like a brain aneurysm, and I couldn't go in and see her. They was like, we don't know. We don't know. And so after it all happened and stuff, she made sure I had this piece of paper that says like, "Do not resuscitate. I have control over everything." I still have the
Mhm.
paper I have to put in a safe place, but I hate having this paper, even though I know I need to have it. But just as like,
Yeah.
this is as a son, right? That you're close to your mom, you never want to think about losing this woman. Never
Well,
want to think about
you
that.
don't want to think about it, but it's a reality.
It's a
And
reality.
and giving you, coming from, a few years ahead of you in that game, it's something that you want to, because you got a lot of people that look up to you, bro. You
Hmm.
got a lot of people that follow you. You got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of clients that you gotta be on at your events.
Hmm.
And what happens, unfortunately, when that day comes, and you got six bar mitzvahs to cater. I mean, to DJ for.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's part of your livelihood and all the people who depend on you.
Mm,
And so, you fortunately I was able to cook, put it out there, and then I could walk away from mine for a
hmm.
minute. They ain't no walking away for you.
No,
So
ain't no.
I'm just saying, have the conversation in a lighthearted manner, a
Yeah.
quick one. You know,
Yeah. Definitely. I'll take that advice for sure. What's one thing society gets wrong about how men grieve, and what needs to change about that?
um, um, women don't get it wrong. Men get it wrong.
Mm,
And so in society, women tell men we need to be more, we need to speak up more and be more emotional, get in tune with our emotional side. But what
mm,
happens is people say our feminine side, and we don't like that.
mm,
And it's like, no, it's not a feminine side, because being emotional doesn't have to be feminine, because we all have the same emotions, just how do we process them, right?
right.
And then unfortunately, you got different types of men who do process them, and then we call them weak. We call them
Mhm,
suckers. We call them gay. We call them all types of stuff, and then that's not right.
right.
This is something that I'm guilty of.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to processing grief, when it comes to processing emotions as a man, men get it wrong, thinking that we have to be so tough that we can't show emotions.
Mm,
And as a leader, I believe that when you're able to show that emotion controlled to the people who follow you, it makes you more relatable.
mm,
And so then it allows people to follow you easier.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's okay to say, it's okay to stand up and then give a speech and have a tear rolling down your eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you do have to go and take your time to grieve, it's okay. It's okay if your kids see you cry.
Hmm.
Again, this is contrary to everything that I believed when I was in my 20s.
Right. Right.
But
Absolutely.
it's something that I believe is necessary. And that's why men don't live that long, because
Mm.
we don't know how to control these. And then that's why we get it all balled up and we have all these anxiety attacks that just pop up because we don't know how to process these damn emotions.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think being able to being able to allow your emotions to be, not necessarily control them, but to be able to allow them to be and then manage your emotions, is just a sign of maturity.
Mm. That's good. That's real good. Do, did your family, what was your family support like going through the grieving?
Well, I called my aunt Kathy a lot, and
Mm.
sometimes I would just call her and cry on the phone.
Mm.
I called. I would call my older brother, Skip. I called him and just kind of talk sometimes here or there. Me and my oldest brother, we got closer after she passed because we wasn't that tight. Um, and then my aunt, me and her, we felt it the hardest, I believe, and
Mm.
we stayed the closest. But to be honest with you, outside of that, um, I didn't really talk to anybody else. I got a buddy of mine whose his mother passed, some other time, but I didn't necessarily cry with him or do anything. I would talk to him, you know what I mean, about stuff. But as far as me being able to have an outlet, um, it was just my aunt, really, for the most
Yeah.
part. And you know, there was some conversations I had with some people
Mhm.
that was in my life that didn't respond or respond in a way that I felt that was either negative or saying, get over it. And then I immediately just didn't talk to him again about it at
Yeah.
all. It
Yeah.
was like, okay, you don't get it. That's all right. That's fine. I definitely don't hear that ever again.
Ever.
You know what I mean? So I'm in my vulnerable moment, and
Mhm.
then you jab me in my vulnerable moment, won't happen again.
Yeah. Never
So
again.
no, so it's hard for men to be vulnerable a lot of times.
Mhm.
And then if I allow you in that space and you jab me, you won't get it again.
Nah. Never again. Never again. Yeah, man. That's. Ooh. I appreciate you sharing, man, because I always think I have random moments, right? Because my mom's had some health issues, but random moments of like, how am I going to handle when my mom died, right? Like it's
Yeah,
been me and my mom my whole life growing up, was me and her. You know what I mean? Just me and
yeah,
her, and it's like even though I have my own family of my own, still it's still me and mom's.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like I don't know, and you're right. I don't think about. I still got to work. I still got clients. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
still got.
yeah,
How am I going to be able to? I got to make sure I'm prepared to function. Hopefully this doesn't happen. Happens later than sooner. But I got to be prepared to function when this stuff. That when that actually happens.
yeah. You and I have talked, man. We share like a similar relationship that you have with your mother than I have with my mom. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And so it's the only thing that can prepare you is just to be prepared.
mm,
You know what I mean? Is to talk about it, and that's the is that's it. There's
yeah,
no other preparation. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna suck. But then once you get out of your mind, that it's impossible, and it sucks to even have to swallow that.
mm-hmm,
You know, um, when I have it, my son Luke, when he was in the hospital, we didn't know if he was gonna come on. Tiffany
yeah,
and I had to have a conversation about, hey, if Luke dies, we still got to be parents to three other kids.
yeah.
That was a tough conversation.
Oh, I can imagine.
But we were mature enough to have that conversation and to know, unfortunately, we had to kind of like disconnect a little bit
Hmm.
to know that we can't be so vested here that me and you don't work out
Mm,
and these kids suffer because of it,
yeah.
you know?
Now, Luke situation happened before your mom's passing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was born in 11.
He was born in 11. Okay.
Yeah. So he's graduating from eighth grade now, though.
Big Lou. My favorite video is that one with him jumping in with the praise music and y'all got him
Oh,
jumping in
yeah.
the ring.
Yeah, yeah. Hey man, I used to read miracle books in the NICU about
Mm,
miracle babies. I'm like, man, these little babies can't hold a candle to Luke.
yeah, that's dope, man.
He didn't been through. So
That's Hey man, that's our show for the night, man. Terry, I appreciate you sharing all that. That was some good stuff, some deep stuff, some heavy stuff, man. But it
yeah,
also gave me, and I think a lot of other people who's going to watch or who did watch, some stuff to think about, some conversations to have, uh, because we at that age, we
yeah,
at that
yeah,
age where this type of thing, can happen to any of us.
yeah,
So appreciate it, man. Hey, everybody that's listening, if you know somebody that ever suffered through something like this, or just want to prepare themselves, this is a great show. Go back and watch it. Tag them in the comments. Send this to them, and I'm gonna post some clips from it so y'all can get some of this wisdom and see the real someone who's really went through it and really suffered through it, but also is still here smiling and can share his smile with the world. So thank you so much, Terry, for joining us.
yes,
He
sir.
always on the show anyway. Follow us on all platforms. It's Mental Podcast on all social media platforms. Look us up. We there. I'm the DJ Benzi. That's Barbecue Daddy. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless y'all. Good night.
The barbecue daddy.
The